Here's some quotes, in my opinion, in favor of separatism. Sonia Johnson wrote, "Every woman, of course, wishes to believe that the man in her life is an exceptional man, a man in a million, and that therefore she is the exceptional woman. But the odds are 99.9 to 0.1 against her, and 0.1 is probably a high estimate, because almost no man, no matter how gentle, no matter how liberal, could bear to reject the innumerable privileges, operant in very subtle as well as blatant ways in every sphere of his life, of being male, even if it were possible. A friend once wrote to me, 'For me, the bottom line now with men is that any man, my brother too, whom I love dearly, will sell me out if it's a choice between me and patriarchy, me and his male privilege.'" D.L.R. Graham wrote, "Women feel that, without men, we will be alone and further isolated. We will have no one. We do not see relations with other women as an alternative. Without men, life isn't worth living. This reveals the extent to which women experience ourselves through men's eyes. The more lost women feel without men, the more we have defined ourselves through our relationships with men and in relation to men. Having most members of any oppressed group live one-on-one with their oppressors is probably the strongest possible argument for ensuring continued psychological enslavement. Whether the adult male is father or husband, the effect is the same. The woman is isolated from other women." Shulamith Firestone wrote, "Men are thinking, writing, and creating because women are pouring their energy into those men. Women are not creating culture because they are occupied with love." Julia Long wrote, "Heterosexuality stands out as one of the last bastions of patriarchy where the notion of individual choice remains thoroughly unexamined. This leads to curious scenarios such as the phenomenon of feminists who might be critical of the notion of choice and agency in relation to oppressive systems such as pornography and prostitution, posting pictures of themselves in wedding dresses on social media, and defending their choices as a purely private affair." Sustainable Separatist wrote, "Feminism is stifled by women with shifting priorities based on necessary compromises with the men in their lives. This will always create a burden for the woman to choose between her politics and the oppressor class she has an intimate connection to." Kate Farrell wrote, "Women's magazines place young women's ability to establish and maintain heterosexual dating relationships at the center of women's identities. Rhetoric surrounding the achievement of wedded bliss and finding Mr. Right abounds, with men the ultimate source of woman's fulfillment." Tumblr user Floating Book wrote, "The whole world wants you to partner up with a man. The handful of us who want liberation don't threaten your little domestic dream beyond asking you to self-reflect a bit and ponder your priorities. We're not witches, and we're not the monster under your bed either. We're women alive, leading fulfilling lives, and we'd love it if more women got to experience it. There's no non-misogynistic man. Some do a good job of fooling the women around them, but none of them isn't complicit in women's oppression. Why do you feel such a need to put your life and your freedom in a man's hand? Can't you do things yourself instead of waiting for someone else's input? At the end of the day, it's not about your feelings. It's about doing something so things change instead of waiting passively for men to deign to give us a few rights. It's about women's liberation. And that might be very well something you are not interested in, which is your prerogative, but it's not my case." Sonia Johnson wrote, "The most exhilarating experience of my newly divorced life was the discovery that I could be whole and happy without a man, that the fierce brainwashing to the contrary, which I'd sustained all my life, was not only composed of lies from start to finish, but was a total reversal of the truth. It's not women who need men, but men who need women." Balkan Radfem wrote, "I don't think we need to argue or defend female separatism. We just have to build it. Women who are able to speak against it obviously see no benefit in joining, so they can stay as they are, but they can't control what we do. They can go on and on about how absolutely dreadful it would be while we're already building our houses and planting our gardens and having immense joy at the freedom and life. Separatism proves its points by existing and showing what it really is. Don't waste energy telling people how stupid they are for fighting you about it. Come learn about all the berries and sustainable permaculture with us." And lastly, Dana Densmore wrote, Friends and enemies will be clearly lined up, and the friends will be real friends, and the enemies unable to hide behind phony benevolence, nor will we have to toady to them. An end to this constant remaking of ourselves according to what the male ego demands. Let us be ourselves, and good riddance to those who are then repulsed by us.